And we invite you, wherever you are, whether you're at home or whatever, to kick your shoes off and put your feet up and lean back and get yourself a cup of coffee or something and just relax and join us in enjoying some very quiet and romantic and relaxed music for a couple of hours.
Your call is being transferred.
G'day everyone, welcome to Kaleidoscope Ears on Edge Radio 99.3. My name is Dwayne, and I'm all alone. Well, I'm almost all alone this evening. Nobby and Ton couldn't make it this evening for their promised programs, but I do have with me a representative of Hobart's youth. This is Satine. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Oh, I'm very well. It's great to have your company for the next 2 hours, and we're going to be playing some classic rock right through until 8 p.m. this evening. But probably not the kind of classic rock you would think we're going to be playing. We're going to be featuring 3 artists throughout the evening tonight. We're going to be talking to a couple of guys from the UK band NukChorris. Yes, guys, it's a play on Chuck Norris. We're going to be speaking with them a little bit later on. And we're going to be featuring an album because that was what we promised we were going to do last week, feature 3 different artists. Nobby, Todd and myself are going to feature one each, but I'm going to feature the album Grand Slam by Spiderbait because NukChorris, incidentally, reminds me of an English version of our very own Spiderbait. So I'm going to play Grand Slam by Spiderbait as much as I can. And also with the forthcoming release of Stephen Wilson's second solo album called Grace for Drowning. I'm going to take you back a couple of years to, I think it was 2009, late 2008, early 2009, that Stephen Wilson released his very first solo album, Insurgentes. If you're Spanish, I think it's pronounced Insurgentes or something like that, but I'm not going to try and do that too much. And we're going to play a few tracks from that album as well as Stephen Wilson's cover version series. I've got a few of those CDs as well, so I'm going to finish off the evening with that. But to give you a foretaste of what's going to come up with Spiderbait, because they reminded me so much of NukChorris, I thought I'd kick off the show with a track from Grand Slam, but we'll get back to Grand Slam later. So we'll kick it off with a track called, well, it's my favourite Spiderbait track of all time, actually. This one's called Plastic. You're listening to Kaleidoscope Ears on Edge Radio 99.3 with me, Dwayne, and Teeny. And that was NukChorris with a track from their EP called Identity Crisis. And I came across Chuck Norris. I came across NukChorris when I was recently over in the UK. And I was given a sampler of a collection of artists from Raven Black Music. And they really caught my attention. And so I was able to have a chat with those guys from the band yesterday. But if you want to text us through the show, give us your thoughts, you can do so on 0427 334 336. That's 0427 EDGE FM. You can also tune in via edgeradio.org.au, and you can check us out at kscopeears.com. So let's have a listen to the interview I was able to have with the guys from NukChorris. I'm speaking with UK band NukChorris. I've got with me guitarist and singer Dino. How you going, Dino?
Very good, mate. Yeah, how do's?
And I've got Skins with me as well on drums. How's things with you?
Not too bad, thanks. Not too bad.
What's with the nicknames, guys?
Well, Dino is Dean. It's just short for Dean.
Yeah, a lot of thought went into that.
Skins comes from a band I was in when I was at school, just from drum skins. So skins, drums, it just sort of stuck there, really.
I suppose you can think about that far, mate, there.
Well, you know.
And your bass player is called Damo, so lots of easy names to remember.
Yeah, again, just Damon. So
yeah, not too complicated for us, that one.
Tell us a bit about the band. How long have you guys been playing together?
In this lineup with the 3 of us, we've been going for about 2 years now, 2.5 years probably.
Yeah, maybe about there. Yeah.
Yeah, about that. But me and Skinsy have been in bands for a long time. We were in a band called Murdoch a while ago.
Yeah. Tell me about Murdoch.
It was it's kind of a similar sort of stuff to what we're doing now, but maybe a bit poppier. We had a girl guitarist in the band doing some backing vocals. It just had a more of a much more poppy edge to it. But I think we've just grown up and matured a lot, gone through a lot of lineup changes, and we've ended up stripping down to a 3-piece now to keep the songs a lot simpler and a lot cleaner, and it's definitely given us more energy. Less people on stage seems to mean a louder and tighter sound, which is good.
So how would you describe your music? I've read different articles describing you as a punky style band, but how would you describe yourself?
Oh, definitely just a bona fide rock band now.
I
I
think
reckon,
rock,
Skins,
yeah, definitely. I always say rock. Rock's my thing anyway. We have a lot of people say, "Oh no, you're definitely punk," but I don't see it personally. But that's for anyone else to decide, I suppose.
Yeah, we're trying. I mean, we try really hard. There's loads of rock bands and metal bands out there, certainly around us at the moment, where it's all about playing as fast as they can and being as technical as they can. And we've never done that. We first and foremost we write songs that people remember. There's got to be a good hook in it, and hopefully people go away and they'd remember a chorus line or remember a guitar line or something. Whereas no matter how technical a band is, if they haven't got the songs, then they're going to fall short. So we're all about the songs.
How do you feel about people categorizing music? A lot of musicians that I've spoken to don't like it.
I don't really care, to be honest. I don't know.
I mean,
It doesn't really bother us. So it's like if they still turn up to the shows, we're good.
yeah, I think that's about being pigeonholed. Really, it's yeah. I still say rock, but yeah, it's up to them really.
If people are talking about you, I guess it doesn't matter what sort of genre they think you are. If they're talking about you, it's good. The only danger is if people are going around saying that you're a punk band, and then you get put on. I mean, we've had a few occasions in the past where we've been put on all punk bills, and then you'll have two full on kind of old school punk bands playing, and then we step into them breach, and we're clearly not that now. And it maybe sounds a bit weird for the guys in the crowd, but we've never had a real bad reaction to it. So I guess it's a good way of winning other people round as well.
I've been having a look at your website, and not many punk bands in your influences there. Both of you guys are influenced by Australian rockers AC/DC.
You
Big time, yeah,
can't
yeah.
go wrong, man. Can't go wrong. They've not changed what they've done for I don't know how many years. They're still filling the stadiums. So.
It's not broke, don't fix it.
It's amazing the way they can just keep doing that, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
So apart from those guys, what other influences do you have for your music?
Oh, I'm big into Clutch and Buck Cherry at the minute.
Yeah, I mean,
Skins is a lot heavier influences, I guess.
yeah, maybe. I mean, drumming wise, always sort of when I was learning years ago. Well, still learning. Listening to lots of Maiden and sort of trying to do a lot of Maiden sort of techniques. So that was main influence drumming wise, but otherwise music, bits of everything really. Maiden, Aerosmith, your softer and heavier rock.
What do you like about Smith? Is it Steve Tyler's mouth?
Do you like his lip skins?
Yeah, real pretty lips. I don't know. I've always been to Aerosmith.
Tight trousers, isn't it?
It's the tight trousers. Yeah, definitely the tight trousers. Yeah.
So how did you actually end up as the three-piece? You went through a few lineup changes. How did you end up with you two guys and the bass player Damo?
Me and Skins originally met outside a girls' toilets, so we were just stood there minding our own business and ended up kind of talking about music, and it went from there. We just stood looking slightly dodgy outside the loos, and it all ended up starting a band from that. And then we had, with this band, we just, like I said, we went through loads. We always wanted to be a four-piece and have the other guitarist. And we spent about a year auditioning different guitarists and learning the same 3 or 4 songs with them. And then it wouldn't work out, so we'd replace and we'd start that process again. And in the end, we kind of gave up and decided to stick to a 3 with just me playing all of the guitar parts. And it works because Damon, the bass player, he's such a good bass player and uses a little bit of distortion, kind of really overdrives the bass. So he plays to the point that it's almost a second guitar, whereas a lot of bands just treat the bass as merely keeping that backbone rhythm with the drummer. Damon really does act as another guitarist, really.
I was going to ask if you could give me some tips on standing outside a ladies' toilets looking as if I'm minding my own business.
Not really. It didn't work for us.
I was going to say, not really, yeah. The way of playing it cool.
So the EP that's been released, Identity Crisis, that's been out since February this year, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's on iTunes and Napster and
Amazon, Play.
yeah, all good digital outlets, yeah.
Yep, how's that going for you so far?
It's going well, yeah. I don't know what the sales figures are because our distributors keep on track of all of that, so we only see that, I guess, every quarter.
Yeah.
But we're selling physical copies of the disc pretty well when we're playing live gigs as well, and you can, if anyone is interested in getting a live disc, we're happy to mail out to you guys out there in Ausland. So by all means, get in touch on the website and we'll whack some mail over to you.
That sounds excellent. And what about the older releases? You've got a couple of earlier EPs as well. Are they still available?
Yeah, we've not got them on physical format at the minute.
No,
So I think most of those press cuttings have
can't believe-
gone.
Oh, we had 3, which basically 3 was a 3-track EP. 2 of the tracks off it are actually on the official EP anyway.
Oh yeah,
as
it's bonus
as
tracks. Yeah,
basically like demos.
good show.
And the other one that was on it was actually re-recorded for the EP, so all the tracks are on there.
Yeah, I think really the older EP, the older releases that you've mentioned were more stuff that we've kind of knocked up in people's garages and we've done ourselves. Whereas the Identity Crisis EP that's been released was the first thing that we've really put a bit of money into and made sure that we've got a decent product. So that's the one we're really pushing the sales on now.
Yeah, which of those 3 tracks were you sort of promoting as the standout track? Treat Me Right was the one that stood out to me.
That's the
Definitely,
song that we really
definitely.
enjoy, yeah. And I think that's the song that is the most of a turnaround from us. Like we keep going back to this thing about it previously being labelled a punk band. Treat Me Right's the first song that really broke us away from that mould, and it's got much more of an old schooly bluesy riff almost going through that track, which is sort of very Black Crowesy, Aerosmithy, the actual guitar riff. And yeah, that sort of thing, I don't know, just works a lot better for us, I think, live.
And something new, I think that one's pretty full on too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely causes a ruckus in the pit, that one. That does get people moving. But it's good. It's cool to have that different. I mean, those 2 songs side by side. Apart from the fact that you could tell I guess it was the same singer. I don't know a snapshot whether you definitely know it was the same band. So I think it shows that we've got a good varied.
Yeah, hence the
Very
name
good.
of the EP really. Identity
yeah.
Crisis. Obviously, you've had the 3 main tracks on there. I think Killing Me was pretty much it was labelled punk. We actually won an award for best punk song for Killing Me.
Oh yeah,
Going
Exposure
back to
Music
what we were
Awards.
saying before. Treat Me Right, like I say, is more bluesy and something new.
More full-on
It's
rock
more
song.
full on rock. So that's how the EP was named really.
Yeah, it's a really good mix of songs in a small collection like that. And I don't usually ask bands about their name, but I really am intrigued by how you came up with your name. I love it, and particularly the name of the album as well. Even though your first release, that was a play on Roy Orbison, wasn't it?
Oi, Robertson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we've clearly got a thing for 80s monikers, with the last band being Murdoch. And this one, I don't know. I can't remember how it all came out.
Well, you wanted to call it Chuck Norris.
Oh yeah.
And we were sat around a few drinks one night, and
Just a few. We were responsible.
absolutely drink responsibly. And then basically we came out with, I say, Dean was insisting on Chuck Norris. I think it was Dean's wife actually said we started about the band Buck Cherry that Dean mentioned just now, which obviously is a play on. Well, I'm assuming it's a play on Chuck Berry. So that's how we switched from Chuck Norris to NukChorris, basically.
I'm glad you put the name though, because we seem to get a lot of flack for the name. People seem to. I don't know how many people have come up to us saying that we thought you were going to be some sort of comedy band, and then they're actually surprised when we're half decent. A lot of people saying the name doesn't really do the music justice. But we love it.
It's funny you say that because the name actually does bring a smile to my face every time I think about it. But it was actually a Raven Black Music compilation.
One of their samples. Was it?
Yeah, it was a sampler that kind of pricked my ears up and thought, yeah, I like that one. And then I went and found out who you were. So it was the music that grabbed my attention first.
Right.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's in store for the future for NukChorris?
We've got a couple more gigs coming up this year with mountain boarding festival. So we got lucky and managed to get on the international mountain board series events. So we've played a couple of those already. Playing another one next month where you've got all the guys riding from different teams. There's people over from France and Switzerland and all over the place riding in this competition, and we get to play in the beer tent afterwards. So we're playing a good few of those. That's good, getting us in the extreme sports scene. We're in talks with a UK wrestling company at the moment as well, which is pretty cool, to try and get our music as the intro music for a few of the boys coming down to the ring. Just gigging hard and doing as much as we can promotion wise, really.
Speaking of wrestling, I noticed, Dino, that one of your influences was Mr. Perfect.
Is it really? Is that on the website?
It is.
Class. I didn't know that was on there.
And I was also
Mr.
intrigued that one of your other influences was Jack Daniels.
Oh yeah, you
Yep.
can't go wrong with that.
Always
That's,
helps a lot with the writing process, I guess.
Yeah, certainly does. For the first hour, and then gets messy after that. But yeah, it's a good starting point.
So nothing new in the foreseeable future for NukChorris? I suppose the EP is only pretty new, so what about a full album? Any of that on the cards?
Yeah, it is. We're talking about last rehearsal, fair enough. We're just trying to pin the money together to get back into the studio and get on it. We do really need to get that out there. Need to get a lot of promo photography done for us because we've got a lot of live shots and things, but yeah, it's the promotion and the marketing side of things that we find difficult as a band, I guess, to do ourselves because we're so wrapped up in writing the music and playing the gigs and getting out there to the fans that want to see us play. It's difficult finding the time to do all the background work. So we're on the lookout for a decent promotions manager.
Now, you were recently trying to get into the O2 for some festival or something. What was that about?
Yeah, well, it is kind of a knock-on effect. We're in the Exposure Music Awards this year, 2011, for Best Live Band and a couple of other categories. We had one of the regional heats for that, which we got through, which means we're now in the live finals at the Cargo Club in London here in the UK in October. So if we win that, great. But one of the byproducts of that was the chance at playing the O2 Festival. I think there was a promoter that was kind of listening to some of the tracks. Unfortunately, we didn't manage to get through to that, so we were pretty gutted. Kind of fancied the O2 stage, didn't we?
Yeah, they're not ready for us.
So they're clearly not ready for the Chorris.
All right, thanks very much, guys. It's great to chat with you. Hopefully next time I'm over in the UK, I'll get to see you in person.
That'd be really good, man. Yeah, it'd be good to hook up.
Edge Radio 99.3, you're listening to Kaleidoscope Ears with me, Dwayne, and Teeny. That was NukChorris with Getaway, one of the bonus demo tracks from their EP called Identity Crisis. It's available from NukChorris.com, that's NukChorris.com. And I hope you enjoyed the interview we had with a couple of the guys from the band. Pretty intense kind of music, but I like it. So there. That's it for our NukChorris feature this evening. We're going to move on to the next feature, which is the album Grand Slam by Spiderbait, which was released around... I can't remember, because you're holding the CD cover there, T.D. I think it was around 99, 2000. And we're going to listen to the opening track from that particular album and a few selected tracks from Spiderbait's Grand Slam. What's the first one, Teeny?
Cracker! You're listening to Kaleidoscope Ears on Edge Radio 99.3.
Thanks, Teeny. Yes, indeed. And you can text us on 0427 Edge FM if you want to comment on any of the tracks we're playing tonight from our feature album, Grand Slam by Spiderbait. And that we've heard a couple of tracks from them, very short tracks. So the Spiderbait are probably in the same predicament at times as NukChorris in being labelled as a punk style of band, which in some ways they were. But in other ways... pretty full-on rock as well, which we're going to see from a couple of the later tracks on the album as well. But here's another track from Spiderbait's Grand Slam. This is Dinner Time. Edge Radio 99.3, you're with Dwayne and Teeny. That was another track from Spiderbait's Grand Slam, King of the Northern. And prior to that, we heard Jellybean Drifter and Stevie. So I finally got to the real heavy one that I wanted to share with you. I couldn't remember which one it was, but we got there in the end. We're going to leave Grand Slam there for this evening and concentrate on one particular artist for the rest of the evening. And Teeny, can you remember who that artist might be?
Stephen Wilson.
Of course, Stephen Wilson. I've got you very well trained, and you've heard a lot of Stephen Wilson, haven't you?
Yeah.
So you're going to hear a bit more, and there's nothing wrong with a bit of Steve, is there?
No.
Exactly. Well said. With his second solo album coming out towards the end of September, which is not quite next month, but it will be next month, tomorrow, being August 1st. His second solo album is called Grace for Drowning, and it is available for pre-ordering now from burningshed.com or gracefordrowning.com. The album has a mini site. If you head there, it'll give you a couple of different options for where in the world you want to get the album sent from. There is a deluxe edition. I think it's going for about £50, which is, in Stephen Wilson terms, extremely cheap. So you'd want to grab a copy of that limited edition deluxe album if you're a Stephen Wilson or possibly a Porcupine Tree fan, but you've got to keep in mind that Stephen Wilson's solo material is quite different to Porcupine Tree, so it could be an acquired taste for you. But we're going to revisit his first solo album this evening and a couple of other little bits and pieces that I have here. We're going to listen to Insurgentes. No, I tried to pronounce it, but I can't. Insurgentes, that's how I pronounce it anyway. It's actually a street in Mexico, very long street. Is it the longest street in Mexico? I can't quite remember, but it could be. I'm going to play the opening track from the album. Thanks for laughing at me there from across the room. We're going to play the opening track from the album. It's called Harmony Korine, and it is the name of a famous director. And funny name for a bloke, but it is Harmony Korine. You're listening to Kaleidoscope Ears on Edge Radio 99.3 with Dwayne and Teeny. And that was Stephen Wilson with a track called Cover Version 5. Now, between 2003 and 2010, Stephen Wilson released a series of CD releases, once or sometimes even once every 2 years, once a year or once every 2 years, and it covered a song with an original track, and I've just played a couple of those. So I played cover version 1 from 2003. That was Alanis Morissette's Thank You. And cover version 5, that was released in 2008 originally, and that was obviously a cover of Prince's Sign of the Times. And you can get the full collection from burningshed.com. You can get that as a box set, cover versions. So it's worth it for the original material as well. It gives you a foretaste of some of Stephen Wilson's solo material. Now, in 2009, as I said, Insurgentes was released. Stephen Wilson put out the challenge to anyone to remix tracks from his particular album. And in response to the flood of remixes that he received, he released a CD called Insurgentes Remixes. And I'm going to play a track now. The original track, Salvaging, from the Insurgentes album was remixed by Pat Mastoletto. And you'll recognise Pat's name as the drummer of King Crimson in the 90s era when they were a six-piece band. And I can't remember if I think he may have been the drummer on 2003's King Crimson's release, The Power to Believe, but he may not. I could be wrong there. I have to check my facts on that one. But he did a mix of the track Salvaging from Stephen Wilson's Insurgentes, and I'm going to play that for you right now. You've been listening to Kaleidoscope Ears on Edge Radio 99.3 with me, Dwayne, and Teeny. Thanks for joining me, Teeny.
That's okay.
It's been good to have your company. Nobby or Todd will be back next week, along with me, hopefully. We're not quite sure what we're going to be featuring yet, but if you keep your eyes on Facebook and the Edge Radio website and the Twitter feeds, Edge Radio and Kscope Ears, you'll be well informed ahead of time as to what we're going to be featuring next week. But to take us out, we're going to finish with the Stephen Wilson track, and incidentally, with Grace for Drowning, Stephen Wilson's second solo album coming out in September. I hope you can jump to burningshed.com and pre-order the album, because particularly some of the special editions, limited editions and deluxe versions, they'll sell out very quickly. So if you're a collector and you want to get your hands on those, be very quick, because I think after the first day, it's been up online for sale for a couple of days now, but the first day they on the Twitter feed, they left a message saying that they'd sold 60% of their stock. So very, very highly sought after collectible items are Stephen Wilson albums. So to take us out, we're going to listen to the title track of Insurgentes, and we'll catch you next week.
Bye.